concept that I'm now going to share with you is a foundation concept of time management. I call this idea the value of an hour. Now, when I think of an hour, I don't think of 60 minutes per hour. It is true that, yes, there are 60 minutes in an hour. That is true. But I think of it in terms of what is the result that I can accomplish in that hour. Sometimes an hour is equal to an hour in terms of results. Sometimes an hour is less than an hour in terms of results, and sometimes an hour is greater than an hour in terms of results. An example of an hour being less than an hour is if you watch television for an hour. You invest an hour watching television, and what's the result that you produced? 0. An hour in, nothing comes back. Now, sometimes an hour equals an hour. Like, let's say that you could mow the lawn or do the dishes, and it took you 1 hour to complete that task. You spend an hour mowing the lawn's mowed. You spend an hour doing the dishes are done. You invested an hour, and you got an hour in return. And sometimes an hour is worth more than an hour in terms of result. For example, by you listening to this program 7 times through, 28 hours of time invested, the idea is that you'll get an extra hour a day, as an example, of increased productivity every day for the rest of your life. You invest 28 hours in, and your return is an extra hour every day for the rest of your life. Or you could hire somebody to mow your lawn. Like, I have a gardener, and the lawn gets mowed every week. So what's the result that I receive in terms of time for the lawn being mowed? That's right, I get an hour of result. How much time did I invest? 0. Or maybe you hire somebody to do your dishes, or you have your kids do the dishes. You invest 0 time, but you get an hour of result. Here are a few benefits that you can expect by listening to this program. Less stress in your life. You'll feel more in control. You'll be more productive. You'll make more money. Your relationships with your family will improve because you'll have more time to spend with them. You will improve your health because you'll finally have time to exercise. You'll finally have time to go down to the grocery store and purchase those healthy foods that you enjoy. Your spiritual life will improve because you'll have the time that you want to focus on that area. Time management affects all areas of our lives. What an hour is worth. Now, consider the following examples. If you earn $25,000 a year and you spend 8 hours a day working, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, the value of your hour is $12.50. If you earn $50,000 a year, the value of an hour is $25 an hour. If you earn $75,000 a year, the value of an hour is $37.50. If you earn $100,000 a year, the value of an hour is $100. If you earn $400,000 a year, the value of an hour is $200 an hour. It's important for you to know what your hour's worth. What I've done in my career, and I've seen many other successful people do this, is do what you do best and pay others to do the rest. Do what you do best and pay others to do the rest. My hour is worth $250 per hour. And because of that, any activity that I do that is not worth $250 an hour, it's in my best interest to hire someone else to do it. If it takes an hour to mow my lawn and I can pay somebody $20 to do it, and my time is worth $250 an hour, it would not make sense for me to mow the lawn unless I just absolutely loved mowing the lawn. So do what you do best and pay others to do the rest. That's why I have somebody do my dry cleaning. That's why I have somebody wash my car. Because these are activities that if I did myself, I believe it would cost me money. Now, if you increase your productivity by 1 extra hour a day, if you're at the $25,000 a year income, an extra hour a day, the value over the course of a year is $3,125. Over 10 years, it's $31,250. Here's what I'm suggesting. If you make $25,000 a year, or $12.50 an hour, and by listening to this program, you learn how to be an extra hour productive every day for the rest of your life, I'm suggesting to you that over the next 10 years, it can increase your bottom line $31,250, which is a phenomenal amount of money. It's a tremendous return on investment for the small amount of money that you invested in this program. Now, if you earn $100,000 a year, an extra hour a day, the value of that is $12,500, or over 10 years, $125,000. Imagine that there is a bank that credits your account each morning with $86,400. It carries no balance from day to day. Every evening, it deletes whatever part of the balance you failed to use during the day. What would you do? Draw out every cent, of course. Each of us has such a bank. Its name is time. Every morning, it credits us with 86,400 seconds. Every night, it writes off as a loss whatever we failed to invest to good purpose. It carries over no balance. It allows no overdraft. Each day, it opens a new account for us. Each night, it burns the remains of the day. If we fail to use the day's deposits, the loss is ours. There is no going back. There is no drawing against tomorrow. We must live in the present on today's deposits. Invest it so as to get from it the utmost in health, happiness, and success. To realize the value of 1 year, ask a student who failed a grade. To realize the value of 1 month, ask a mother who gave birth to a premature baby. To realize the value of 1 week, ask the editor of a weekly newspaper. To realize the value of 1 hour, ask the lovers who are waiting to meet. To realize the value of 1 minute, ask the person who just missed the train. To realize the value of 1 second, ask a person who just avoided an accident. To realize the value of a millisecond, ask the person who won a silver medal at the Olympics. Remember that time waits for no one. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. I want to share a story with you right now to help you get the absolute most out of this program. Not only will it help you get the most out of this program, this concept can help you get the most out of your entire life. Years ago, I attended my first seminar ever, and it was one of these no money down real estate seminars. You might have seen them on television, get rich quick and no money down real estate. And at the time, I was working at McDonald's, and I thought, what the heck? I'll go down, maybe I'll learn some ideas that will help me get better. And I was pretty skeptical, though, when I went to the seminar from some of the claims that they were making on the infomercial. And I got to the seminar, and I did not get rich quick in no money down real estate. In fact, it cost me $795 because when I got there, I found out that they had a home study course for you to purchase, and I did purchase it, and it simply collected dust on my shelf. But I learned something on that day that changed my life forever. And when you learn a good idea in time management, how long can you benefit from that idea? That's right, for the rest of your life. And I learned an idea that day that's just as powerful today as it was when I learned it 10 years ago. And the speaker, his name was Dante Pirano. And Dante was an amazing, powerful, persuasive speaker. And Dante spoke about a book called How to Be Rich, His Formulas by J. Paul Getty. And J. Paul Getty at one time was the wealthiest man in the world. There's a chapter in the book. Many books have a chapter called My First Million. And there's a chapter in this book called My First Billion. And so, according to J. Paul Getty, there's a formula that if you apply this formula in your life, you could have anything that you want in your life. And when Dante was sharing this, as I was sitting in the audience, I had just completed my 5th year of community college. I had been spending the last 3 years working at McDonald's. My life was headed nowhere. He said, you apply this formula, you could have anything that you want in your life. And I'll be honest, I was skeptical. But I was also open-minded and I was curious. Well, what was the formula? 3 letters. Please jot this in your journal right now. GSA. GSA. GSA stands for Goal, Strategy, Action. Goal, Strategy, Action. Ask yourself, what do I want? Develop a strategy to get it and take massive action on a daily basis. And that's what I want you to do with this program. I want you to take massive action on these time management ideas. So I got home that night. I was skeptical, but I thought, what the heck? I'll ask myself, okay, what do I want? First answer that popped in my head, I no longer want to work at McDonald's. So I made a decision and I quit. Second answer that popped in my head, I no longer want to attend community college. I've been attending community college for 5 years. So I made a decision and I quit. Third answer that popped in my head, I was dating the woman that I loved at the time. I wanted to show her how much I cared about her. So I proposed to her. Now, I made those 3 life-changing decisions in one single day. Now, I want you to put yourself in my wife's shoes for just a moment. Honey, I quit my job. I dropped out of college. Oh, by the way, will you marry me? I don't have a ring for you. And here it is. In 2 days, my wife and I are coming up on our 10-year wedding anniversary. And I find it hard to believe that under those circumstances that she accepted. But would you agree that my life and my destiny changed when I made those 3 powerful decisions? I absolutely believe that it did. One way to access personal power is to make a decision about how your life is going to be different. Put that down in your notes. One way to access personal power is to make a decision about how your life is going to be different. Throughout this program, as I share idea after time management idea with you, make some decisions about what's going to be different in your life. Make some decisions about some things that are not helping you create the life of your dreams, but they're taking your time, and eliminate those things from your life and focus on the things that are truly going to create the life of your dreams. Here's my next idea for you. One of the most powerful ideas of this entire program. This is one of my secrets to becoming a time management master. And what I love about this particular strategy is that once you've learned the strategy, you can immediately adopt the strategy. And you don't have to be Albert Einstein to implement this idea. Once you've learned it, you've learned it. And it's like you put the success idea on your success tool belt and you own the idea for the rest of your life. This idea will help you to be more effective every single time you plan your day on paper before the day starts. Every time you plan your week on paper before the week starts. Every time you plan your month on paper before the month starts. Every time you plan your year on paper. Every time you look at your lifetime goals of what you're trying to accomplish. You can use this information to get more juice out of it. Use this information to increase your results. Okay, do I have you excited? Are you curious to know what the idea is? Okay, Eric, I'm ready. What is it? Okay, here's the idea. The 80-20 rule is applicable to time management. The 80-20 rule is applicable to time management. The 80-20 rule was discovered in 1897 by Vilfredo Pareto. Pareto studied income and wealth ratios. What he found was 80% of the wealth was held by 20% of the population. After further research, he discovered that the ratio of 80-20 was consistent in other cultures, in other eras. Since Pareto's discovery, many others have come to the conclusion that the 80-20 rule is applicable in areas other than wealth patterns. For example, in selling, it's common for 20% of the sales force to produce 80% of the results. The 80-20 rule is applicable in time management. Now that is extremely important. I'm going to say this again. The 80-20 rule is applicable in time management. Never forget that idea. I could spend the next 3.5 hours just talking about the power of the 80-20 rule. But I'm not going to do that because I have so much more information to share with you. But if that's all you got out of this program, that is enough to transform your time management. And here's why I say that. Have you ever had this experience? You make your list of what it is that you want to accomplish for the day. And by the way, every time management guru or expert that I've ever studied, including myself, endorses having a written list for what you want to accomplish for the day. Some people call it a to-do list. Some people call it action items. Some people call it outcomes. You call it whatever you want. Here's the list of what I need to get done. But let me ask you this. Have you ever had this experience? You made your list. You got to the end of the day and you didn't get every single thing on your list done? I know I've had that experience. I've had that experience almost every single day that I've ever created a list. It's seldom that I get everything done on my list. And what's interesting about that, a lot of people are in the habit of beating themselves up when they don't get everything on their list done. That's the number one reason I hear from people that cite that they didn't actually follow through and create the list. They didn't create the list because they beat themselves up for not completing it. If I beat myself up for not completing it, I would be beating myself up every single day. Rarely do I meet somebody who gets their list done consistently, every single thing. Okay, now that's an important distinction, because let's say that you have 10 items on your list. You're not going to get them all done. I'm going to tell you that right now. So now that you know that you're not going to get them all done, the question is, where are you going to focus your time? That's why the 80-20 rule is so profound. The 80-20 rule suggests this. Of your 10 items on your list, there are 2 items that are equal in value to the other 8 combined. So I'm going to say that again. On your list of 10 items, there are 2 items that are equal in value to the other 8 combined. So let's say after you created your initial list, let's say you reorder them from the most important activity is number 1, next most important number 2, next most important number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now you have in front of you a list of 10 to-dos or 10 action items from most important to least important in terms of value that they're going to produce for you. The third most important, the fourth most, the fifth most, and so forth. The value of the third most to the 10th most important, we're going to give a value of 1 unit. So 3 is equal to 1 unit. Number 4 in priority is equal to 1 unit. 5, 1 unit. 6, 1 unit. 7, 1 unit. 8, 1 unit. 9, 1 unit. 10, 1 unit. So if that's true, the value of you completing 3 through 10, those action items, if you add them all up, each one's worth 1 unit, that equals 8 units. By units, I'm just making up an imaginary term. It's just so you get the concept. So if 3 through 10 is equal to 8 units, what is the value of number 1 and what is the value of number 2? The value of number 1 is 4, and the value of number 2 is 4. Because 1 plus 2 equals 8 is equal to items 3 through 10, also equaling 8. Now, if you were unable to follow the numbers, all you need to know is if you complete 1 and 2, they're equal in value to 3 through 8 combined. So now having said that, let's say that you only have enough time to get 6 things on your list complete for the day. The question is, which 6 things should you do? And the obvious answer is, number 1, because it produces 4 units. Number 2, because it produces 4 units. And then any 4 others on items 3 through 10. What I'm sharing with you, 90% of the population is unable to utilize this concept, even if they know it, because they don't put their plan on paper before the day starts. They don't start off with a list of what they need to accomplish. Now listen to me for a moment. You cannot prioritize what you haven't identified in writing. Like if I said this to you, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to prioritize this list that doesn't exist. I mean, what a silly concept, right? So it's identifying what are the activities that are going to produce the most value, but you can only do that after you've created the list in writing. What the most successful people in the world do and what time management masters do is they make a list of what it is that they want to accomplish for the day, and they identify of all of the actions, what is going to provide me the most value. The 80-20 principle is one of the most valuable time management ideas ever discovered. The next idea that we're going to talk about is planning. And I'd like to share a quote with you from time management expert Alec McKenzie. Alec McKenzie is the author of The Time Trap. Alec spent over 20 years of his life studying time management and the challenges that people incurred with time management. And he wrote a book about it called The Time Trap. And here's a profound quote from Alec McKenzie. A daily plan in writing is the single most effective time management strategy, yet not 1 person in 10 does it. A daily plan in writing is the single most effective time management strategy, yet not one person in 10 does it. Now, if Alec McKenzie, who I believe is the top time management expert in the world today, if he says that the most powerful strategy of time management, the most powerful tool you've got is a written plan, then I would encourage you to do that. In creating a daily written plan, it will help you to become a time management master. Now, I want to caution you against something. Let's say as you're listening to me, you go, okay, Eric, I buy that. I will create from now on a written plan every day for the rest of my life. And you're motivated from this program, you're excited, and you make a decision to do it. And then you plan tomorrow. Hey, good job. You do it the next day. Good job. You do it the next day. Good job. Then you slip up on the fourth day. And then you go, you know what? I invested in that How to Master the Art of Time Management audio program from Eric, and I listened to it. And Alec McKenzie said, planning your day is the most powerful strategy. And I did it for 3 days, and on the fourth day, I couldn't even get my measly self to do it. And then you beat yourself up. And then the fifth day, you plan. And then the sixth day, you miss again, and you beat yourself up again. And now you're not feeling good at all about it. And now it's day 7, and you do a half-hearted attempt, and you beat yourself up for not playing at a level 10. I want to discourage you from doing this, because what happens is, if you beat yourself up when you don't plan, what a lot of people do is they'll simply say this: I'd rather not plan in the first place, because it's not worth it beating myself up. Now, as I'm talking to you right now, I am a time management master, yet I don't plan every single day. I'm human just like you, and I mess up, but what I don't do is I don't beat myself up. I've learned that beating myself up doesn't produce a result. All it does is make me feel bad. So I used to beat myself up mentally, but I never do it, and I'll never do it ever again. And if I catch myself doing it, I immediately stop. So I want to give you a thought right now to never beat yourself up ever, even if you don't plan, even if you missed planning for an entire month. Once you recognize that you need to be planning again, just simply make a new decision. Okay, I should have been planning last month. I didn't. I'm not going to beat myself up. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start taking action again. Every day that you plan your day, it helps. Everything counts. Every day you plan your day, every day you make a half-hearted attempt, it all counts. If all you got out of this program was to more consistently plan your day, even if you didn't do it every single day, you would receive tremendous value from this program. Planning is thought before action. You can create written plans for your life. You can create written plans for the year, for the month, for the day. The planning efficiency ratio is 4-to-1. What that means is every minute that you plan, you increase your production by a minimum of 4 minutes. One of the reasons why planning is so important is because what you expect tends to happen. When you write a goal down, you are 10 times more likely to accomplish that result. When you come up with a written plan for the day, the week, the month, or the year, that acts very similar to a goal, and it increases the likelihood that you will accomplish the result by 10 times. We live in a reactionary society. Most people live their entire life reacting to the day, much like how animals live. Animals don't plan in advance. They rely on their instincts. So don't be an animal. Be a human being. Human beings are different from animals in that we have the ability to plan. Most people, in my observation, are very poor planners. For example, most people, I believe, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best and 1 being the worst, would score a 2 or less in planning. The reason that most people are poor at planning, I do not believe is due to lack of understanding how to plan. And my reasoning for this is this. Most people are excellent at planning their weddings. Think about your wedding if you're married. How well did you plan your wedding? Imagine if you planned your life with the same level of commitment that you planned your wedding. And if you're not married or if you've never planned a wedding, imagine what it would be like to plan that wedding. And what if you had that same level of care and commitment to your own life? If planning is so important, then why don't most people do it? There is a price to pay for planning. Planning takes time, it takes focus, It takes effort, and it takes discipline. Understand that there's also a price for not planning. The price is poor to mediocre results. Here are some suggestions on some of the things that you can plan. You can plan a project. You can plan a week. You can plan a year. You can plan your life. You can plan a day. You can plan an hour, and you can plan an evening. And there's many, many other things that you can plan, but those are just a few examples. One of the ways that you get better at planning is through practice. The more plans you create, the more effective that you'll become at planning. And remember, everything counts. Every time you create a plan, it counts. Make a decision to plan your day on paper before the day starts. Make a decision to plan your projects, to have a plan for your life. Take action. The next time management idea is leverage. Leverage is a simple, powerful time management tool. One example of how leverage works, if you've ever had a flat tire and you change that tire, think about the steps that you went through. Isn't it true that you went to the back of your car, possibly in your trunk, you get out the spare tire, and what else did you get? That's right, you grabbed a jack. And you use the jack, and it's like this little thing, and end up lifting a several thousand-pound car. And that's what leverage does. It allows you to do things that you would never be able to do on your own. Leverage is anything that you do where you get more of a result back than time invested. And there are thousands of ways to apply the leverage concept. Make a decision to master leverage. So I'll give you some examples. Right now in this moment, I'm creating leverage. I'm speaking into the microphone. We're permanently recording this information on audio tape and audio CD. And the total project will take about 12 hours from start to finish, from the recording time to the editing time. So there's 12 hours invested. But what we'll end up with is a 4-hour product that will be listened to, I believe, by 100,000 people. 100,000 people will listen to this program 7 times through and get 28 hours of result. And 100,000 times 28 is, I can't think of the number in my head, but it's a big number. Now that is the value of the time invested in creating this product. But not only that, by you listening to this program, it's creating leverage for you. You could make the argument that the 12 hours invested to create this program will create millions upon millions of hours of increased result. You see, you and I could be doing a coaching session, and I could be sharing this information with you one-on-one over the phone. And I could spend 4 hours, and you invest 4 hours on the phone, and I invest 4 hours. But during those 4 hours, you couldn't be doing anything else. You would have to be talking on the phone with me. Now, because it's on audio tape or CD, you can be listening to this information while you're driving, which is another example of leverage. You have to drive anyway, but then you listen to a Success Audio or you listen to a Success Audio CD, and the time that you spent driving is now turned into valuable time. The concept of leverage, the more you think about it, the more you'll think of ways that you can apply leverage. Another way of leveraging is having, in the example earlier, someone mow your lawn or somebody clean your home. These are examples of leverage. Let's go back and look at the definition of leverage for just a moment. Leverage is anything that you do where you get more result than time invested. When you think of leverage, think of all of the ways that you could invest time and get more than an hour of return from your time invested. Some examples of this are you could hire somebody, you could use technology, perhaps you could use direct mail, you could attend a seminar and learn information that would benefit you for the rest of your life. And again, the more you think about leverage, the more ways you'll discover of ways to use this powerful strategy. The next concept is concentrated blocks of time. What happens during a typical day is we're constantly being interrupted. Isn't that true? We're interrupted with email. We're interrupted with people coming into our office, perhaps. We're interrupted with phone calls. And when you start a project, you begin a train of thought. And then you get interrupted, and then you lose your train of thought, and then it takes some time to come back to that train of thought. 1 hour of uninterrupted, concentrated time is equal in value to 4 hours of interrupted time. I'm going to say that again. 1 hour of concentrated time is equal in value to 4 hours of interrupted time. When during the day could you get 1 hour or more of focused, concentrated time? Is it before everyone else gets up in the morning at your home? Is it during lunchtime at your office when things are quiet? Is it in the early evening? Or is it late in the evening between 10 o'clock at night and midnight? When can you be most productive and find concentrated blocks of time?